Previously on the Dwarven Chest conversion. This time on the Dwarven Chest conversion. Hello and welcome back to jellymantis.exe. Today we're going to work on the longest portion of this project, which is carving the Dwarven runes and Dwarven braids into the exterior of the repurposed jewelry box that we're turning into a Dwarven chest. Most of this footage is filled with copyrighted music, mad ramblings of an artist, and the brain-numbing buzz of a Dremel, so I'll be your voiceover narrator for the duration of this video. We're going to start by revisiting the large, central, Deathic letter Z located on the lid of our chest. In episode 3 we carved the rough shape of the Z, but I'm going to go back over it to where the cuts are deeper and more pronounced since I plan to sand the entire box again. You can see here the center design and belt grooves have been cut much deeper and I've sanded them down to be smooth. I'm going to put the lid aside for a bit and switch gears to work on the tray. I started on the tray by using a Dremel to cut out the Dwarven runes on the short side, then for reasons unknown to man I stopped mid-process to go buy a wood burning tool and began working on the braid design that's located on the longer side. Thanks and shout out to Nether Creature for the suggestion. Using the blade attachment on the wood burner really helped me keep a straight line versus the vibrating Dremel. Here you can see the outline that it left. I was feeling pretty good about the outline the wood burner was leaving. It cut grooves into the wood which will provide a firm boundary for the Dremel tool, helping me stay inside the lines like a child. Considering this experiment a success, I repeated the process on the other side of the tray. Look at that. I'm digging it. Now that we had a nice permanent pattern to work off of, I plugged in that dang Dremel and got to work. I guess I didn't notice it at first, but there was a clear coat, like a protective varnish on the entire box. So as I was trying to carve it away, it was making things a little difficult. Here's why that sucked. The cutting tool wasn't removing small wooden bits in a nice uniform circular pattern. Instead it was ripping off big old chunks of coating and paint that looked like this. Or this. So I really had to take my time and be as precise as possible. I even tried using this cone-shaped, fine-tipped bit to gently follow the wood-burned grooves, and here's how that turned out. Eventually I got into a rhythm and started rocking and rolling. When we did our first round of sanding in episode 2, I was using a super fine grit sandpaper to basically just remove any dirt or grime from the exterior. Looking back, that was way dumb. I should have just used a coarse grit sandpaper and removed this godforsaken protective coating that has been terrorizing me for 5 or 6 hours. I took things personally and got my hands on some
80 grit.
I went ahead and essentially negated all the work I'd done. Sanding made the carvings shallow and less defined, which means we should probably go over the carvings again. I think you know where this is going. Hey, a familiar sight as I once again carved this braid into the side of the tray. Something interesting I noticed, only on one side of the tray the Dremel was leaving these terrible looking wood burrs. So I had to really get in there and clean those suckers up. Hey, do y'all remember the lid from earlier? Went a little easy on the top side, but the outer perimeter really got it good. Okay, here we go. I recarved the Dwarven EXE border into all 4 sides of the lid. As if I hadn't tortured myself enough with the EXE border, I went ahead and picked up the main box, which is also surrounded by the same pattern. I completely skipped over the part where I pressed record on my camera and went ahead and carved one side of the EXE pattern. I fired up the wood burner to begin working on the large braid that sits on the front of the chest, and I hit record just in time to see the wheels completely fall off. My template was off and I somehow managed to run right off the edge of the box with the wood burner. You can see my disbelief as I fondle the edge of the box as if it's somehow going to grow an extra inch and allow me to hit the rewind button. Detective and problem solving modes activated. Here's my official report. When measuring and gathering dimensions for the box, I measured from here to here, and I did not consider this portion of the front. That's actually a lie. I measured the front wavy portion of the lid and the height of the main box, and combined those 2 dimensions to give me this area. I guess measure twice, cut once. In a state of shock, grief, and confusion, I began sanding. I don't believe it'll be too hard to fix, but you'll have to wait till the next episode to see how it turns out. I want to thank you guys for sticking with me through that episode. I know it was completely scatterbrained and might have been a little difficult to watch, but that process for that week was just scatterbrained. I was kind of flailing a little bit, fixing my own mistakes and doing some experimenting. But next week's going to be way more organized. We'll move on to some cool stuff like painting or maybe putting some decorations on the box. So stay tuned for part 5, and I will see you guys in the next one.